Alright, Daisy, you think we should start this? We'll have fun.
And I think we are filming, we're on. Hi everybody, hi Tara, hi Mike, hi to all our Strala friends and family all over the world. Wow, I can't believe it's been a year and a half since I was in Berlin with a lot of you people. It's just crazy. What a year and a half it's been, huh, for everybody, I guess. And thank goodness and thank God I've got Strala in my life now, because I don't think I would have made it through. It's been a challenging year, and I guess it has been for everybody, and with all different levels of challenges and everything. And I just feel like I'm very blessed to be here today and be able to share with you guys some of my story, I guess, and experience, and have a bit of a talk with you and conversation. I've been asked to talk about addiction and ease. My background myself is I'm a former drug addict and alcoholic that pretty much consumed my life for 23 years. And therefore, you know, the ripple effects from that kind of lifestyle, you know, spreads out through everybody, you know, that I care about and cared about, and the people in my community and things like that. And so it was a very, you know, I'm able to look back now. I haven't touched any drink or drugs or anything like that, or any mind-altering chemical, for almost 5 years now. My life changed dramatically, of course. But what I've noticed is that it's opening up doors to many more experiences that I would have never kind of gotten involved in, or even seen, or even known that existed, pretty much. And you know, Strala and going to Berlin with Tara and Mike and Sam and everybody that was over there, and was one of those opportunities, one of those doors that were opened. And it's quite amazing how you know, that the life without the kind of drugs and alcohol has just progressed to this, you know, amazing thing for me and for the people around me. Again, like I said, that ripple effect that, you know, gone through the pond and spread out to everybody else as well, that, you know, that cares about me and that I care about as well, has been an amazing thing. You know, a little bit on my history was, you know, I started to drink and use drugs at about, you know, 14 years old, and it was quite, you know, I don't know, for me, I just remember thinking at the start, you know, I had some dramas growing up with, you know, parents separating and so on and so forth, and a few things going on at home there that, you know, obviously maybe want to not be at home, put it that way. And what happened was, you know, when I first had that experience of drugs and alcohol, I don't know, I kind of, yes, I would say that I saw it as fun, but it also was an escape. It was an escape. And as a lot of us know, and, you know, a lot of my Strala friends, we talk about things like this, that there's many different forms of escape. There's the ones that you kind of, you know, you're escaping to get away, to have a break, and, you know, to chill out or whatever from the hectic lifestyle. And then there's the other style that, you know, you're running away, basically. And what that allowed me to do was, it allowed me to run away from the way I felt. It allowed me to run away from, you know, some of the things that, you know, were going through my mind. You know, I had a really kind of low self-esteem issue. Like, I mean, I can see that now, but back then, you know, obviously I had no idea at 14. And basically that addiction was also, you know, it was in many other facets of my life, you see. So it didn't just involve drug and alcohol. So, you know, I surf. And so when I was surfing back then, I would surf 3 or 4 times a day for, you know, a tremendous amount of hours, till I was basically, you know, shattered. Any other sports that I was playing, like rugby league or football, as we call it over here, I played and played and played for this team, played for that team. It wasn't just one thing. When I went skateboarding, I went for hours and hours and on end, and it was just never this. Nothing ever had balance, and it didn't ever at all have ease. That word was just non-existent to me for such a very long time. Ease, I can just thinking back now, at 15 years old, I liken the experience of Strala and the experience of, becoming clean and sober, I liken it to, the best way to describe it physically would be, I felt like I was walking around tense all the time, and as I was able to put down, drugs and alcohol, I felt it, ease a little bit more, and the kind of that tension and that intensity kind of relax a little bit, but it was still there. It was still there, and it was, it wasn't until I started, and I had other forms of yoga. I was going to Bikram and I was sweating it out, with the other boys and coming out and, and things like that. But I never really had any ease, and it wasn't until I kind of really got into that. I love that quote by Tara saying that, nailing a yoga pose won't change your life, but having that connection with your breath and body, and certainly will. And I've had that experience, and I'm sorry, Tara, if I messed that quote up, but it's along those lines. And I've had that experience in the last year, and in the last year and a half, that's for sure. And being able to share that with the community has been wonderful. But I'll get to that later. Back to the stage of that addiction and alcoholism was, it ran rampant through my life, and it basically was this. It was like this all-consuming energy that anything I did, I had to do to excess, to the point where I didn't like it anymore, or it would no longer serve me. And drugs and alcohol were definitely a part of that. I was able to kind of, give up for little periods here and there, but it was only for if there was some kind of, motivation, and that would be either, my partner or my wife was going to leave me, or, something else was happening. It had to be a threat, in order to motivate me, and even then, it wasn't a motivation at all. It was more like it was a threat, and I just thought, and the fear of kind of being alone kind of outweighed the drinking and using kind of thing, and then it eventually, I drink and use again because I'm an addict, and apparently that's what we do, with a drug addict. And so this went on for many, many, many years, and it got to a point in the end where, the drug addiction and the alcoholism basically put me into, mental institutions and hospitals, and it wasn't pretty. I can vividly remember having this attitude that it got to a point where, and I don't mean to sound dramatic or anything, but I didn't want to live anymore. That was basically it. I really couldn't see a way. People used to say to me all the time, just stop. Why don't you just stop? Why don't you just stop? Why don't you just drink light beer, or, low beer, as you call it in the States, or, why don't you, just have a glass of wine with dinner, or, why do you have to take drugs? And I don't know, it was like this all-consuming power that just had me, it just had me, and I couldn't see a way out. And the way of, those words that they use of just to stop, it just was never possible. It just seemed like it wasn't possible. And it got to a point, like I said, where I felt like I could just no longer, live, because I knew that I couldn't stop, but I knew that I couldn't keep going the way I was. And, it was a terrible place to live. It was a terrible place to live. And I remember, we talk about, and, I've had a lot of people help me with my alcoholism and my drug addiction. I remember there was this one moment, I was in a mental institution, a mental hospital, and they had me doped up on Valium and all of this other stuff, you know, to calm me down because I was quite erratic and you know, detoxing from all forms of, you know, drugs and things like this. And I remember walking down this hallway, and I'm talking like this is like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest stuff. I had the white slippers on, I had the gown on, and you know, I remember looking in the mirror, and the mirrors, there was no mirrors there because they weren't allowed to have glass. It was stainless steel, and it was really shiny, and they had it screwed into the wall because you know, it was a real dangerous place to be. They, you know, none of the coat hooks would be fixed. They would be, you know, they'd fall down as soon as you hung your towel on because they didn't want anything to hang from anywhere, you know. And that's where I was at. And I remember I was shuffling down the hallway, and I was on all matter of, you know, tranquilizers and things like this. And I felt this tremendous weight on my shoulders, which I don't know, I can not explain it. You know, I've heard people talk about God moments, and I'm never been religious in any way. You know, I believe I'm spiritual, but I've never been religious. And I felt this tremendous weight on my shoulders, and I felt it push me to my knees, and I kind of dropped to the floor, and I just started to sob. And I just remember going, you know, please, 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 I don't want to die anymore. And that was, from that moment, it was, you know, I wouldn't say it was 100% on that I was never going to use again or drink again, but I knew at that moment that I was going to do, and I was going to do everything I could to stay alive. So I went from this pure wanting to die to pure wanting to live. And in like this, you know, 30 second to a minute kind of process. And, you know, during the time it felt like I went for a half an hour or 40 minutes or something, but it was only a couple of minutes. And then from then, you know, I went and saw the doctor. I said, no more prescription medication, no more nothing, I'm going to do this. And they warned me against it. They said I might, you know, this might happen, that might happen, but I just knew that I was going to be okay. I knew that I was going to be okay, and I knew that I was going to get through it. And, you know, with a few bumps and bruises in those early days, you know, I was there, went to a rehab, and you know, the rehab introduced me to my culture of Aboriginality in Australia, and that's been a very important part of the healing process for me. And you know, and it was an Aboriginal men's rehab. I was reintroduced to culture, into dance, into teaching from the elders, and that has been a very integral part of bringing me to, you know, rediscover yoga in a different way, and rediscover myself, and discover Strala and Tara and Mike, and you know, their words and the way that they spoke really, you know, just sunk into me. And so from that moment in the rehab, I had moments in there where I thought, you know, I'd go and drink and use again or whatever, but I didn't, you know, and I stuck solid, and you know, I was able to, you know, stay clean and sober, and from there, life has just flourished into this thing that I would never thought it would be. And you know, having that kind of, you know, there was a quote by Helen Keller, I think, you know, that I'm kind of looking for. I remember having been a bit of, you know, having some time up now as being a sober man. I remember it was something like, what I was looking for wasn't outside, it was within. You know, it's something along those lines. So it really sat with me at the time, because I remember I just seemed to be, you know, addiction is this, it's just like this all-consuming energy, like I said, and it just needs to be constantly fed and fed and fed and fed, and it doesn't stop. And you know, and that's not just with drugs and alcohol, that's with anything. You know, you know, I have to be really careful. I can be addicted to coffee. I can be addicted to, you know, surfing, like I said, or running, or anything. And I really have to maintain a balance. And the balance for me is such a fine line, you know, is that because I can go right over it and just start, I don't run 5 kilometers or, a few hundred meters. I'll just say, oh yeah, next week I'm going to run a marathon, without training. And then, and then my body hurts for days and days after and things like that. So this is where, I have to be really careful, because the thing that I was searching for on the outside actually is in me, and it's that connection that Tara spoke about in that breath body connection thing. That's what it is, and even our culture teaches us that, like, we're like this channel between Mother Earth and Father in the sky, and we're just a channel, and having that connection and having that breath body connection allows the flow of that energy to go up and down through me without any distortion, and that's why I just really kind of felt that, that energy in the room when I was in Berlin, and I feel it in the, in the rooms when Hannah and I are guiding yoga now, is because I take all of that kind of that stuff that was on the outside, that addiction thing, and I've managed, or I still manage to be able to turn that kind of energy that I feel like is always around me, this addiction energy, but I'm able to kind of flip it now. And I really loved doing the qigong with Mike, because I was able to kind of feel like that, like this thing that's ever consuming me is not actually in me, it's outside here, and I can move it, and I can, push it away, I can hit it. Michael, I can hit it away, and then I can bring it back in when it needs to be served, when I do need some motivation or anything, but then I can use that balance and then push it away again. And I've really kind of learnt that that's, a real good part of that. If I can turn that kind of negative energy into a positive, then it just spreads so quickly, and it's quite good. I'm at this stage now where, it's not a bad thing, but I'm kind of addicted to helping people. And that's not trying to say anything with ego, but I just like to be able to, my work as a drug and alcohol counsellor, I really like to see people's lives improve and change, and I set upon it, and I set upon a task, and I really, I can be disappointed and I can be down when it doesn't work out for people, and because, my addictive personality wants it to work, and it wants it to go forward, and it wants them to be as happy as I am. It wants them to, to experience all the wonderful things that I have, but everyone has their own journey. And it's quite disheartening sometimes to see that, I don't get to, experience a lot of people experiencing what I'm experiencing at the moment, in my life, through putting down those things and letting that addictive energy become a positive thing. I remember when I came to Strala last year in Berlin, the first time I ever did Strala with Hannah before we came was, it was funny, we were talking about this the other day, and it's a strange experience. I'd been doing Bikram, as I said, and I'd been doing all these other styles of yoga before, and I had no idea. I used to muscle my way through everything and pull my way out and push my way up and jam my legs in tight and jam my knees back so that my legs were straight. And Hannah and I went down the beach one day, and she's like, puts her towel down and she's breathing up. She's going like this, and I'm going, what the hell are you doing, man? And I was like, we were laughing so hard about it the other day. I was just like, it was just so foreign to me, it was so foreign. I just lived this rigid life that everything was on or off, and it was either up or down, or it was black or white, and downward dog had to have straight legs and straight arms, and my head had to be down, and if it wasn't good enough, and I wasn't good enough, and then, the self-esteem would kick in, and then I'm not doing yoga, I hate it again now, and I didn't have that experience with Strala. And, I remember walking into that room in, at Pankow, Germany, and it was just quite amazing to walk in and be welcomed, but I also felt the ease, I felt that ease, I felt this, again, another layer of that intensity that I spoke about drop away. And as each day went on, and I breathed more, and I connected more, and I've put my feet on the ground more, and I remember Hannah, Amy, and I going for these walks in the park and things like that, and I just really felt this sense of grounding, and I felt like that channel that I spoke about was starting to, the distortion was getting lower and lower, and was becoming clearer and clearer, and then I realized, about that quote that I spoke about, that everything that I'd looking for without was actually within me, and that was that breath and that body and that connection that was able to, be achieved through coming to Strala and being a part of something magical. And I just, I remember bringing it back, and at first we were a little bit, we just kind of we let the experience of Germany wash over us, and that last week with Sam was just, for me, it was mind-boggling. I'm not sure about anybody else who was there or who's met Sam, but I was just like, wow, like this is like what and it was quite an experience, and so I had to kind of let that settle in for a few days, because it was really like, it was like foreign to me, and but I kind of knew in the back of my mind, and that yes, that this was, I was in, and so what happened was we came back and we let things kind of settle a little bit, and then we started to practice a little bit together, and not too much. We were doing a lot of running and things for our foundation, for our foster son, and we were staying busy, but we were starting to practice. And then it just felt like it was the right time to start to introduce this to the community, and so we started to kind of bring it around to people and have people around the house, and we do little open sessions on the beach, on the grass areas at the beaches here, and it was quite amazing. I saw a lot of people having that same experience that we had, or that I had particularly, and I've been able to also bring it into, the field that I work in as well, was that, I work in addiction and alcoholism. I work with people trying to clean up their lives. And rather just sit there and just talk and 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 talk about, my past, and this is what's happened, and this is what's things, and creating that circle of past and to future and all of that stuff, it was able to bring I was able to use this, what I'd learned in Berlin and what I'd been practicing with Hannah, to kind of really bring a little bit of movement into these conversations with people, a little bit of meditation, a little bit of breathing, and my history, a lot of people, fortunately enough, I guess, is that a lot of people in our area know about my drug addiction history, so they're able to see the difference between who I was and who I am, and I guess that has provided an example to some people that it is possible, and that they've been very trusting. They're coming and seeing me. This guy was a full-blown drug addict, and we'll be having these important conversations, and then I talk about maybe we can just do some yoga and some breathing together, and just really grounding our feet into the ground, and just taking our shoes off and going for a walk. And like at first, like, it kind of trips everybody out a little bit, but it's been working. It's been working wonderfully. And the rehab that I was actually in, almost 5 years ago now, is where I'm doing a lot of meditation guiding and yoga, and the men there are I feel they're very open to it, because they know that I was there, and they know that I had been through the same problems that they'd been. They're aware of my story, and they're aware that that I'm coming in there to bring to them what has been given to me, so freely. And that's kind of opened doors for many of those men too. And now they're coming down and ask, when are we doing yoga? When are we doing meditation? And it's so cool, and through our cultural smoking ceremonies and some of the dancing and the stuff that we do, we're able to incorporate the kind of didgeridoo. We've been incorporating didgeridoo into yoga and into the playlists and things like that, that Tara and Mike were making up in Berlin, that we all love so much. I've been able to incorporate some traditional Aboriginal music into the playlists and that as well, and it's been a really good thing for those men. So it's not only introducing them to a bit of ease and comfort and breath and body connection, but it's also introducing them to culture that drugs and alcohol had taken away from them. And the benefits of this stuff, I just, it's just mind-boggling how it's not kind of, I kind of want to take it and go to all these, rehabs and say, we need to be doing this stuff. It's saving people's lives. But, I'm, inherently aware that these things are always better to happen organically, because if you told me, 10 years ago about Strala, or if you told me 8 years ago about Strala, or if you told me 5.5 years ago about Strala and Tara and Mike and this form of connection, I would have laughed. I wasn't ready. My experience with being ready for this has allowed it to really sink down deep into our lifestyle, and it's kind of present with everything we do. Remember Tara and Mike saying, opportunity for practice is everywhere, and it is, it really is. And I love those kind of opportunities, and moving down the beach and taking it into the surfing and taking it into all these other aspects and parts of our lives that we've been able to do. It's been it's been an amazing journey. The people we have around us at the moment and the community that we've created through bringing everybody together with Strala, and it's just been wonderful. We're starting to do workshops, healing workshops now for women, healing workshops for men. I've been introducing the cultural side into the men's side of things with some didgeridoo making and playing. And then, like I said earlier, bringing that yoga in, and the didge healing in with the yoga and the didge Vasana and everything at the end. And then, Hannah's been doing some beautiful women's groups as well. And then we're coming together and doing groups for everybody as well as, guiding the yoga at the house. And I've been doing some super early 5 a.m. yoga sessions down the beach, which wasn't so fun in winter, but it's gotten warmer and warmer, and we're in summer here over now, and we're about to have a big hailstorm actually, I think, but that's coming over. But bringing all that stuff into our life's been very, very, it's been, thankfully, because it's been organic, it has been easy, and therefore there's ease. I think in the context and wrapping up, what I wanted to say about, addiction and ease is that the reason why I guess, speaking about both of these things is so important is because, there's a balance in life, and, addiction and ease are like polar opposites. That addiction is like this all-consuming energy like I spoke about, and ease is like this, it could almost be the same energy, but it's just been transformed and flipped into this, whole other realm of connection. My addiction in the end was isolating, dark room kind of stuff, only room in a hospital, glass doors, things, and peering through blinds in dark rooms is where my addiction and alcoholism led me, and and then with ease comes connection, with ease comes community, with ease comes the examples of that kind of lifestyle that I wanted, and that I was always kind of searching for. And like I said from that quote, it was actually in me the whole time. And I see it in the people around me, and that's how I'm able to, help and connect with people, is because I can kind of tap into that ease that they have, whether it's right down deep inside, or they're holding it somewhere, or they're hiding it because they need to be going 1,000 miles an hour to survive in this, crazy world. And but there's always some of it, in most of us. And the gift that I've been able to utilize is from the teachings of Tara and Mike and Sam, has been able to instill that now into my drug and alcohol counselling, been able to look in a bit deeper and really connect with that ease and that that breath and that connection, and that, and that really allows people to trust me and lead them on a journey. It's just been an amazing experience. I do this little thing every day. It's a very important part of what I've been doing since I've been clean and sober, and that's, I write a little gratitude list every morning. And I write, I don't know how many, as there's never, there's a lot of things, and Strala is always on that list, and it always is. I've got my family, Hannah, I've got the kids, and surfing in the ocean and music. I love music, and but Strala's always on the list. It always is, because I'm just so grateful for it. When I finish a book, because I don't use a diary, I finish a book, and I always, when the book's finished of the gratitude list, I take it up to the rehab that I was in, and there's a special fire that we try to keep going there most of the time, and I rip out each page and I put it on the fire. And I remember doing it a couple of weeks ago, actually, and I just remember sitting there and I was just thinking about that experience that I had in Berlin with everybody and all those beautiful people that I met, and I hope you're all there and saying hi. But I just remember that, and I just remember, I had a little bit of a moment where I just thought, that's it. That was just another defining moment in my life where it just changed everything for me, and I thought I was just going to learn about yoga, and having that, I really thank Tara and Mike for that experience that they gave me, and Sam, of course, and you all there. And I guess it's moving forward, it is what it is. It is what it is. Like, I don't know, man. I don't want to guess what's happening next. I would sell it short. If you asked me a year and a half ago, when we left Berlin, would you be doing this today? I would have laughed at you and probably said you probably needed to go to the rehab that I went to, because I would have definitely thought you were taking drugs or something. So, I'm just going to let the future come when it gets here, and in the meantime, I'm just going to stay present and practice that ease. I'm going to keep focusing on knowing that addiction plays out in my life in all different fields, and just bringing it back to center like we do when we do Strala. Bringing it back to center. Breath-body connection. Feet on the ground and breathe, and that's got me through so many times. Ease is breathing, and breath is life. Breath is life. And I feel very grateful for knowing you all. I love you all, and we're going to say goodbye. Say I love everybody, and I will say goodbye for Hannah too, because her and I are around together a lot, and I know she'll be saying thank you and I love you. And you guys are wonderful. Keep it up. Can't wait to see you all in person. When COVID's done, I'm coming to get you. Bye.